Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by my wonderful interim producer, Lily Christie. Lily, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome, Danny. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I'm a little hurt. You just called me a weenie, but to be fair, I was being a weenie, so it was objectively true.
I call him like I see him.
Fair enough. We're joined by a very cool guest today, Marlo the Barbarian.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine. No, I was just going to describe you a little bit. Alt pop indie musician, fair to say.
Fair to say.
Based in LA.
Based in LA, right here.
And we were listening to your music before this. You got some bangers out there.
Thank you.
New single, My Bad, out now. I was being transparent because I'm like lyrically very stupid. I can't understand lyrics. Is this a common thing? Is this crazy?
I think it is a common thing, especially because I'm just like kind of yelling through most of that song. So it makes sense that my own father came to one of my shows in Philly.
Yeah.
And he was like, there's a line in that song where I talk about using a vibrator. And my dad was like, I really didn't realize that was the lyric before going into this. And I was like, listen, you came to the show, you paid for your ticket, you get what you get. Also, so sorry that you had to see that.
You can separate the art from the artist
a
little bit in that capacity.
He saw it in his head, presumably, or is that?
I would hope not.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
I would hope that he just blocked out the entire memory.
So I was going on your Insta. You seem very hip.
Thank you.
I think you're very Brooklyn energy, or Echo Park. They tell me is LA's Brooklyn.
I've heard that before.
You're pretty cool, and you're wearing a shirt that says "Daddy's Little Daddy."
Yes.
What? And I was thinking about this because I remember the daddy hat, and wasn't there a girl? She was like a Karen. I don't know. Something happened with the daddy hat. I think it got a bad rap. What does the daddy hat mean to you? Or sorry, the daddy shirt.
The daddy shirt. Oh, first of all, I'll tell you the story of how I got the shirt.
Yes.
My friend Nellie, who does live in Brooklyn.
There we go.
She was like, you can borrow this. And then I was like,
great.
great.
It was a rental.
It was a rental. And then I cut it up. And so now it's mine. She did give me permission.
Okay.
She did give me permission. Now it's my shirt. I don't know what it means, really, to be honest, except for the fact that I'm giving daddy energy. We're all our own fathers in a way. Yeah.
I saw it as kind of feminist and being like, oh, men think they're always the daddy. Well, we're the daddies now.
Exactly. Exactly.
I agree. I would say so.
Now, so I looked up lyrics to your songs and I found the lyrics for Real Friends, Fake Friends. I thought this might be juicy if there's any reality to this. So I'm going to read them here, which is probably going to butcher. The music is much better than my reading. But honestly, now I'm feeling focused and grounded, which we love. We love that.
Yeah, we do.
And if you saw my path, you'd be like, baby, you found it. But I don't give a damn about your status or your pedigree. Put your shit on blast if you think twice. You're not my enemy. Okay, sorry. I started rapping it. This felt interesting to me. Was this directed at someone?
It was directed at someone.
Got
The story is that I ran into an ex, very bad ex, who did terrible things, who is now quite successful.
Oh, we hate it.
We hate it. And he will be canceled one day, and I will be championing, my God. I will be at the forefront of his cancellation. But anyway, I ran into him. My therapist actually challenged me to write a song about it. That is where that song came from.
Wow.
Yeah. And, just look at me now doing what I said I was going to do.
That's
You're
really
welcome.
Awesome. That's a really engaging therapist, too.
Yeah. That was the only time she ever challenged me to write a song about something like that. And I did it. So there it is.
And the pedigree aspect makes me think they're kind of conventionally successful. Like they got a degree or some shit or.
They're unconventionally successful in the field of acting. So it was just kind of like a fuck you to that.
Yeah.
Interesting. They're doing very well. Not for long.
Okay, we're not trying to pry, but Lily, can you help me here? What is unconventional success in acting? What could that even be?
Sorry. I mean, this is just not your standard business degree. As far as success, they're very conventionally successful in the field of acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was picturing like Steve Buscemi, where it's like they're weird famous.
Well, I mean, no, that's still commercial success.
I would
say. I would say unconventionally successful is like booking a lot of commercial work.
Yeah.
Like a lot of commercials, and like your day job is just doing extra work. I would say that's unconventionally successful because you could still probably pull a lot of money doing something like that consistently.
Interesting. Well, I was on Food Network 10 years ago, so I'm freaking successful as
Chop
fuck.
for kids?
yeah, that's what it was. I'm flattered that you think I'm young. Yeah, I was young back then.
Yeah, so you're from Boulder originally.
Yeah.
And fairly recently, I saw per your Twitter, you made a 9-hour excursion from Los Angeles to Arizona
Wow.
instead. So Danny is actually from Arizona as well.
Oh,
so
great.
the pilgrimage from LA to Arizona is one that the pod knows really well. Did you see anything wild? How was that?
It was terrible. You know, once you've driven through the United States once, you don't really need to do it again. There's not much to see.
Brutal.
There's not much to see, especially the trek from LA to Phoenix. There's like no bathrooms. There, I don't know. It just took 9 hours. It normally doesn't take that long.
Oh, just from LA to Phoenix took you 9 hours?
Yeah.
What did you do?
We left the day before Thanksgiving at rush hour.
Oh,
So
so
that
you
was-
really
that was on me.
you went from LA to out of LA, and that
Yeah.
took 3 hours.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it does shock me the no bathroom thing. I imagine just on like empty stretches of highway, bathrooms should be ample.
I've been in this bind. I was coming back to LA from Vegas, and I drank a gallon of water, and I was in that. So I relate with this, and I actually pulled off in a random neighborhood, and I had to pee on the side of a neighborhood street. It was pretty shameful.
Wish I had that luxury.
Yeah, no, privilege checked.
Oh, that is
But yeah, so my family, I went to visit my aunt. My family, my parents live on a boat, actually. They sold their house.
I think we're going to need to talk more about that.
Absolutely.
Do go on.
Yeah, so they sold their house in Boulder maybe 2 years ago, and now they live in the ocean. So like they don't have an address. I can't list them as
They don't have an address. No
No.
P.O. box, nothing.
Nothing. So I can't like list them as an emergency contact. They're only available via satellite phone, which they never turn on. So I will be with them for Christmas, but for Thanksgiving, it seems like a little bit of. They were actually in Antarctica for Thanksgiving, so it just obviously I wasn't going to Antarctica. So
like they sailed there on their boat.
to Antarctica, they did not. They did like an expedition just because their boat is not
Equipped.
I'm not sure if
most
they're
boats
poor
aren't.
or rich or what's going on with them. So they live on a houseboat, or what's the nature of the boat exactly?
They live on a boat, and they do
boat.
captain it themselves.
Okay.
It's heavy. It's meant to cross the Atlantic. It's like a
Heavy
what
boat.
is it called? I don't know what it's called, but it's heavy.
Yeah.
And so it only goes like 9 knots an hour.
9 knots?
Which is like equivalent to I think like 4 or 5 miles an hour.
No.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I was in Phoenix.
So I'm sorry. Can I ask more boat questions?
course.
Now, the boat has a bedroom?
The boat has a few bedrooms.
Oh, a few.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a house.
Yeah, it is kind of like a house
Yeah.
that you have to constantly be working on.
Because like falling apart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I just
Rust
don't think my parents realized the nature of boats before they decided to get one.
Yeah.
So
They seem pretty whimsical.
yeah, we were yes, very whimsical. They spent a lot of my childhood in the hospital because we were in a car accident when I was very young, and so they've just had so much of their lives taken away from them that I think that they're just now in this adventurous spirit as their child. It makes me very uncomfortable because I'm like, your health is fine, but if one bad thing happens and you're, I don't know, in the middle of Antarctica, you're kind of screwed.
Wow, this is the most
Sorry, this took a
interesting
turn.
lifestyle I've heard of in some time. So your parents, like right now, are they like at sea? I mean, they're going very slow on the boat. So is the bulk of their time sort of going from place to place?
Right
or-
now, my dad is at sea and my mom is waiting for his arrival because she was like, I'm not doing a 14-day voyage from Florida to St. Thomas, which is where they'll be for the holidays.
And where's St. Thomas?
I think it's the U.S. Virgin Islands.
That's not very
It's
far.
not far. It's not far. It's going to take them 14 days.
That's hilarious.
With like 3 men to do it.
Wow. Oh,
No
so
stopping.
there's
Three.
crew. He's got to bring crew on.
It's my dad's cousin, Meher,
yeah.
my dad. And then I think they have one more experienced person with them just because they're going to go 14 days without stopping. So they felt like they should have some
Oh,
heavy.
14 days one way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's 2 weeks.
Boat is a snail.
I know. So, maybe my drive to Arizona wasn't that bad after all.
Well, I feel like when you compare traffic to like a sea voyage, because that's like you call it's a voyage.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know
not
if
a
it's
trip.
a voyage. I think it's long. I don't know if we get to call it a
I think
voyage.
2 weeks could be a voyage.
The time determines it. I feel like the distance is a factor.
But the fact that they're not stopping, that seems like a voyage.
Yeah.
The thing for me that shocked me is before they got a boat, they found another couple that had the same boat that they were getting, and they did an Atlantic voyage with them. And that on that voyage, the stabilizers in the boat broke.
Great.
So they were feeling all of these like 16-foot waves. And I was like, surely they're not going to get a boat after this. Nope.
Wrong.
Nope. They just said.
How long was the trip
Take my
across the
money.
Atlantic? 7 years?
That one was also 14 days.
Oh.
Yeah. They didn't, not the whole Atlantic Ocean.
Oh,
I think it was like, oh God.
Canada, Greenland, or
it was like a
something, the short
Panama
one.
crossing, but that's not the
Panama?
Atlantic.
That's something else, yeah. But whatever. Look, who understands maritime law?
Yeah.
That's so. And now, so they're not really accessible to you. Is that bothersome to you psychologically? Your parents you can't reach them for stuff? Or,
but I feel like they've respectfully been unavailable for a lot of my life just because of all their medical issues. So it's like nothing new, but a different type of unavailable for sure.
Wow. Well, I'm happy you're land ho with us.
Me too. Me too.
And thank you for speaking so candidly on that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Truly. Because you've played piano for a very long time.
Yes,
and you've
I
sung
have.
for a very long time. And you have described your practice as therapeutic and personal and something that's just been really meaningful to you. And I'm curious, when you started performing when you were in New York, what was the process of bringing such vulnerable material public for the first time?
So New York was interesting for me because it was the first time I just had never planned on doing music. It was just never an intention of mine. And my dad actually sent out my music to a bunch of random people that said they worked at labels on LinkedIn. And one dude responded purely based on the fact that they were both from the same town in Colorado. And they kind of took a chance on me and booked all of my first shows for me. So I was kind of thrown into it. And then once I started doing it, I was like, oh, this makes a lot more sense for me than acting. I'm just not able to give as much for me acting than I am singing. So then I just kind of made the transition. But it was weird for me for the longest time. I was like, oh, I wonder if this person will know that this song is about them. And then I realized, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just who cares? You have to be vulnerable in order to do music. So if you can't get over that, then you're probably in the wrong business.
100%.
Yeah.
So were you studying acting in New York?
I was studying acting, yeah.
Where were you going to school?
I was at NYU for 2 years before I dropped out.
That's wild. I went to Marymount Manhattan College for a year and a half before I dropped out.
Crazy.
That's really crazy because it's also funny. It's like a bad transplant billboard. All three of us, born in a place, lived in New York, came to LA.
Yeah.
A musician, comedian, actor.
Yeah, it's a hard place to live. I was working full time while I was in school too.
Yeah.
And I didn't live on campus ever. Not that NYU really has a accessible campus anyway.
It's just like Union Square.
Exactly. So I just didn't get the experience that a lot of other people had. And also I don't know, it just wasn't for me. It has worked for a lot of my friends. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, New York didn't really work out for me either, that schooling as much. I prefer the pacing out here a little bit, and I like driving.
Yeah, me too.
What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Ford Escape hybrid.
Ooh, I drive a Honda Fit.
I drive a 2021 Camry hybrid, the peak of human engineering. I hate driving though, so one of you guys should take the damn thing, but... Did you guys? I mean, I couldn't do the winter. Obviously, I was there during COVID, but for me, the sun was a big factor. I like that sun.
For me too. I thought I would be able to handle the winters there. Being from Colorado, it's a different type of winter.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Because the avenues become wind tunnels.
Yeah.
And you feel the chill in your bones.
Well, and is Colorado as overcasty and no sun?
No, we have 300 days of sunshine.
No
just
way.
With snow.
I also feel like the sun in New York is it's kind of like diet sun. Like the sun here, if I'm outside for 30 minutes, I'm burnt. But in New York, you can be in the sun for 2 hours, nothing.
Because the buildings are there to block it a little bit, depending on where it is in the sky.
I don't know what's going on, but I feel like I'm on a boat going 4 knots an hour.
4 knots an hour.
You know?
So you've cited Alanis Morissette as one of your influences.
Yes.
Because you discovered her album Jagged Little Pill in 6th grade.
I sure did.
That is a hefty album to chew on for a 12-year-old.
It is.
What about it spoke to you around that
The parental labels did nothing.
They did nothing. Okay, so I will say that up until fairly recently, I had the acoustic album as a kid. I didn't have like the full rock version. And so up until recently, I thought that was the only album. And I was like, why are there all of these weird remixes where she's like way louder and like way more into it? I don't know. I don't know why I never did more research into that. And so now I actually have a hard time listening to the album as it's intended,
like the remastered one.
Yeah, so I can like really only listen to the acoustic version. But I really just felt seen and heard by that music. Looking back on it now, I don't think that I understood what most of those songs were about. But I think that I agreed well with that. She was raised Catholic. I was raised Catholic. And so I just think a lot of what she was kind of talking about felt real and true to me. And it still does. Yeah.
You got religious trauma? I'm just kidding. We
all have religious trauma.
I was raised Catholic too.
I'm so sorry.
You know, I had a Jewish girlfriend and she goes, "You're such a freak because you're raised Catholics. All the Catholics are freaks."
Oh, that conversation sounds less than optimal.
Yeah, no, it wasn't ideal.
Was it an antagonizing way?
No,
or was
no.
It one of
I
those,
mean,
I'm going to be loud ways.
I was actually just curious if you related with that because like Catholicism is so much like don't do this, and so then so much of my sexuality is like shame and taboo oriented psychologically. At least
mine as well.
So, yeah.
Yep. As a Jewish person, I do feel bad for people raised Catholic a little bit.
Oh, thank you.
I do.
Well, we appreciate your sympathy.
It seems just so like everything is blasphemy, and like I have a God who like loves me. Just
you're chosen.
So it makes me so sad that you have to spend your whole life being like, I can't be bad. I can't feel an ounce of pleasure or do anything cool or all right, because otherwise it's going to be literal hell. That sounds terrible.
It's a total scam. The Jewish people get chosen. Evangelicals get saved. They're good to go. But Catholicism's like, try your best, but there's no guarantees.
We're all sinners.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was before my confirmation, our church gave out all of us a list of all of the sins and then substance to the sins, and according to this list I had committed all 10 deadly sins.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I haven't committed murder, pretty sure that like these subsects of sins are not sins. So it was
at a confirmation accusing someone of murder.
It's also like very weird being a 13-year-old girl telling a grown man all of the things that you've done wrong, especially like more sexual things. I felt so responsible to be honest about me exploring my sexuality with my priest. And I just don't think that's okay at the end of the day. It's not like he was giving me advice. He was just like, go say, 30 Hail Marys, which is not actually a solution to anyone's problems.
I mean, I think it's really fucked up. That's not an interaction that should be happening.
Yeah.
But I played the impure thoughts and desires card a lot. And he'd be like, which ones? Can you be more specific? And I was like, the impure ones. Let's move on.
They really wanted you to like get down to brass tacks.
Yeah,
like
they're
tea.
Nasty.
Like these priests just want you to spill tea.
Yes.
Ugh.
Father Milienko, to me, when I was prepping for my confirmation, at the time I was very into miniskirts. I had not even been kissed at this point in my life. I think it's like 8th grade. And he was like, "You're a whore." And I was like, I don't know. Because of the way that I'm dressed, which was the way a normal girl my age dressed.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like walked around with that burden on my shoulder for a long time.
Oh my God.
And what happens at the end of the day is when you get treated that way for your whole life, turns out probably has the opposite effect of what you want.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. That's why Catholics are freaks. They
Yeah.
try to control us. And now we're like, all right, tie me up.
Now I'm wearing a daddy's little daddy shirt.
There we go.
Yep, 100%. And he cast a judgment, so he's going to hell.
Yeah.
I can't believe he said that during confession that you're
Not during confession, he pulled me aside after a confirmation class and was like, "By the way, you're a whore." I was like, got it. Thank you so much.
Disgusting. I hate him.
Call the Vatican.
I hate him.
What the fuck?
They're not going to do anything
They're
about
not.
it.
They're going to move him to another parish, if even. Well, Marlo, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Check out Marlo the Barbarian's music. I'm difficult with music. I got to admit, I was really impressed. You got some bangers.
Thank you.
Really, really great songs. So check it out, everybody. We've got some juicy sitches for you guys today. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. We'd really appreciate it. Over 140 bonus episodes. You love to see it. All right, we got one heck of an ep for you today. Our second story of the day, AITA for how I fought my boyfriend's medical bill going quote unquote too far. But first, people, it's AITA for using a joke about sexuality to imply my coworker's boundary with her boyfriend is stupid. I, 29F, am bisexual, and I've been working at my company for about 1.5 years. We just started returning to the office about 3 months ago, and it's the first time I've really started to get to know my coworkers on a deeper level. So I've never come out at work since there hasn't really been an opportunity. Well, yesterday I was eating lunch in the kitchen and chatting with one of my female coworkers, about 30F, that I've started to develop a friendship with. She mentioned a girls' trip that she had planned over the holidays, and I told her in turn about a trip that I had planned with my best guy friend, Matt. And I said my partner couldn't get work off to join. She immediately raised her eyebrows and said, "Wow, that's wild that your boyfriend would let you go on a trip alone with another guy." Before I said anything about my relationship, I asked her why that was wild. She immediately went into a little rant about how her and her boyfriend have a boundary about not having friendships of the opposite sex, and it means that they have a deeper level of trust. It honestly came across as a little condescending. While I do believe that everyone knows the right thing for their relationship, I've always found this particular boundary to feel a little absurd. And so I said in a teasing tone with laughter, I guess I wouldn't understand. That will be tough for my girlfriend and I since we're bisexual. I guess we wouldn't be able to have any friends at all. My coworker turned white as a sheet. I think it's ghost. I tried to change the subject, but she started to look more angry than embarrassed. She said it was uncalled for to make fun of and insult her relationship, and that I set her up for failure by not telling her I was bisexual. Then she said, "To be honest, I don't really think the workplace is somewhere to be discussing sexuality at all." I didn't say anything and walked away, embarrassed. I feel conflicted. On the one hand, I don't think I'm the asshole and that it's her fault for assuming my sexuality in the first place. She was telling me about her relationship, which means it was perfectly acceptable for me to talk about mine. On the other hand, my girlfriend said I was out of line to make that joke, and she was just being defensive, as anyone would if they felt attacked. While I feel my joke was really just the truth and not an attack. AITA.
Well, I certainly think her coworker should probably start not assuming. Heteronormativity. That was not the word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, well, what struck me about that is she wasn't even mad. Like that, she freaked out. The coworker freaked out, like, "Oh, you caught me," and it was like, no, like it wasn't like OP was like, "How dare you assume?" It was like totally in her head.
I've been in relationships where it's not okay to have a friendship outside of your own sex. And I think that usually comes from a form of trust being broken in the relationship, or, just very intense jealousy issues. I personally am all for having friends of all sexes. I think it's normal. I think it's healthy. I think especially too, maybe I have a little bit of a skewed perception because I work in music and most of my friendships are male just because the industry is so heavily skewed. But I think that if you have a partner that's not okay with that, for me, I think that it's just weird for anyone to comment on anyone else's relationship in that way, in my opinion. Also, my day job is in HR, and it is totally okay to talk about your sexuality in the workplace. I don't think there's anything wrong with that whatsoever. In fact, it should be welcomed and embraced. And I don't think that the joke was by any means inappropriate.
Well, broadly, you mean your sexuality as in I'm hetero,
right.
Yeah. Not, you don't mean like, well, I'm into this thing where we dress up as ferrets. That's like a little.
No, that would be off the cusp for sure.
Right.
Because OP just talked about like the same sort of thing that her coworker was talking about. Well, I guess she opened it with girls trip. Right. And then, but
Right.
then coworker continued that thought process by bringing up relationships in the first place. And she brought up her own relationship first. So setting the precedent that, yeah, you totally can talk about, like OP could have talked about the fact that she was bisexual.
Yeah, well, she was talking about her sexuality, right? I mean, I think she was doing that thing of like, oh, hetero isn't a sexuality, but it's like, no, you are talking about it. Yeah.
The same thing, like everyone has pronouns.
Right.
Even like everyone has them. And it's like, no, what are your pronouns? I don't have them. I'm like, no,
Okay.
you do. Well, I'm a man. Yeah. So you got him.
So he, him.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to try to take the coworker side a little bit. I think the joke for me, let's go through this joke. So the joke was, if we apply the logic of your relationship to my relationship, then we wouldn't have any friends at all. Is this maybe a little bit of a roast? Is it a shot fired?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I think it's definitely a shot fired. But at the same time, I think shots were fired when it was mentioned that their boundary in their relationship was inappropriate. So it's just like she's, they're just coming back with fire to fire.
Because they characterize OP's relationship as wild.
As wild, inappropriate. If it's not inappropriate to them, it's not inappropriate. So
right, they said it was wild, and then in that same thing they said that your boyfriend, so they also assumed OP's sexuality kind of in one fell swoop.
Which is just also interesting because you'd think that someone who has this specific rule on this side of the argument to foster trust.
Right.
And this would seem to me, if I was the coworker, it's like, oh, wow, they really build trust in a very, very different capacity.
Right.
It's a lot more freedom, a lot more open. Like, it's just fascinating because both would require like a lot of trust. I don't know. The one on the other side where you can't have friends of the same sex, if that works for people, that's really awesome. I don't really know how it would work to foster trust, but that's just through my lens of experience.
Well, I think you nailed that, Marlo, that for someone who's extremely insecure, that might be the only way they can trust. They'll be in this constant like haze of like jealousy and freaking out. But I think to call it a deeper level is also a little bit being like, we have something deeper than you. So it's kind of one-uppy, subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go on the record as that's toxic. I don't think that's acceptable. I think if your partner's telling you can't have friends of the opposite sex, I'd get therapy to them because that's too much. I mean, I think there can be limitations and disclosures, right? I think like hanging out one-on-one a lot with someone of the opposite sex, I could see how that could get dicey. And the reality is that people do catch feelings. So I can understand rules around it, structure, disclosure, but outright banning, no. I'm ready to say that's toxic.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't know how to live a life like that.
Yeah.
It's wild that, patients come in like that at work. If like couples come in together, I'm always inclined to more speak to the girlfriend than I am the boyfriend because I'm societally worried about like fostering things like that, even if I'm just being friendly, because I've seen like people like side-eye me, like side-eye their boyfriends when I'm just like, which edible do you want? Like this one is sour cherry. Like I don't...
But they're both there for marijuana, or we're not supposed to say marijuana.
Yeah, don't call it marijuana.
Weed, I'm sorry.
It's cannabis. I'm a boomer. But the marijuana, that was William Randolph Hearst because he was mad about hemp.
Got it.
Anyway,
So
a lot of people come in, shop as a couple, even if it's one person's errand or they want to go together.
And you'll address the woman to prevent her from being jealous.
Yeah, it's actually Hooters waitress rules.
Really?
Yeah, if someone comes in as a couple, you talk to the girl directly. You don't talk to the gentleman to like avoid any form of potential intimidation.
Interesting.
Wow. Is that in your training or is that just a personal choice?
It's a personal choice.
Smart.
I've never worked at Hooters. I just heard that from someone who did. So I'm like, all right, word, taking it to every form of retail.
Top comment, Nita Reno Bino writes, NTA, she already disclosed her sexuality to you by talking about her BF, and you're right, her boundary is stupid. It's not a deeper level of trust. It's a lack of trust they have. Fair enough. Top descending comment, Soft Cattle 409, there's a concept. ESH, I think you all were just coworkers. Why enter in such a personal discussion? She didn't need to tell you about the boundaries of her relationship, and you shouldn't judge said boundaries. Yeah, but can OP really wear that? I feel like it was the coworker who mentioned the girls' trip. Yeah. And then OP said, I'm going on a trip with Matt. And then it was, in fact, the judgment was opened up by the coworker who called it wild. So OP didn't actually judge first.
Yeah, according to Soft Cattle, someone at work says something to you and you just go, cool. And then you turn back to them and walk away.
That would honestly be worse than the whole interaction that happened.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, we are coworkers. We do not speak unless it is work.
Right.
And then they go off into the night.
So I think OP's joke was a shot fired. I didn't want to say that, but I think I have to admit it was making fun of the logic a little bit. But I do think that the coworker started it. The coworker called them wild and then also did this thing of like, which I thought was really annoying, of being like, you trapped me with your bisexuality. It's like, no, I didn't.
It's like, it's not a gotcha moment. Like, that's not what we're doing. It's, I just told you a thing. That's all it is. That's the craziest part to me. Is that the second somebody is like, is a girl and has a girlfriend, now it's taboo to discuss your relationship. That's sort of what she was getting at.
That's crazy. Bigoted.
Yeah.
I think that might be the hardest ding.
Absolutely.
I actually like that. I feel like that makes it much more clear to me. I like going that route. Because
they were just talking about like girls trip, boyfriend, partner, and then a coworker essentially like sexualized OP. Like, we shouldn't really be talking about sexuality. And it's like, well, no, it's not like we're talking about like bedroom behavior. Yeah. It's like, you mentioned something with your boyfriend, so I mentioned something with my partner.
I think I'm ready to lay that as the primary charge. It's like, fuck you. You brought up sexuality and you and your boyfriend's sick relationship. I think we're all on the same page. AITA for using a joke about sexuality to imply my coworker's boundary with her boyfriend is stupid. I think we all agree it's an NTA, and the coworker is
YTA. Sorry, the coworker
is the
asshole.
Yeah.
And we have HR sign of approval on that?
Yes, we do.
Ooh, we rarely get the HR sign of approval. Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. The Discord is popping off. Lily, are you in the Discord? We gotta get you in the Discord.
No, I'm not in the Discord.
Are you not a Discorder?
Not really.
All right.
What is it? It's discussion boards. Like, there's animals, different things.
Well, you can chat about the situations and,
No, I avoid people as much as I can, so I don't know if I want to log onto the internet to like.
Lily will not be in the Discord, everybody, but
love
that's
y'all.
okay.
I do your thing, but it's not mine.
Tried to sell them on it and failed, but for a lot of people, it's really fun. Maybe if you're like Lily, then don't. But if you are not, then it's really cool. We talk about the situations. A lot of we got Jake and Shannon in there, of course. Sarah's in there, so it's a ton of fun. Please join us on Patreon. Here we go. AITA for how I fought my boyfriend's medical bill going too far. My boyfriend had to go to the ER after an accident and he got a truly ridiculous bill. I offered to fight the bill for him because I've done it before and he said, sure. I went all out. I had him call the hospital and authorize me to handle his bill and medical records. I got an itemized bill and compared the prices for each code to the fair price. I called billing to dispute, but was told I need to contact admin to dispute. I bounced around a call center for hours, got nowhere. Finally, I used Google and LinkedIn, searched for the hospital board of directors, upper management, and got emails of influential people at the hospital, plus their investors. I didn't know hospitals had investors. Every day I would send a few emails and write increasingly long emails describing how they billed my quote-unquote clients at 7 times over the fair price for services and how their billing department, customer service department, and the growing list of management I'd emailed had failed to address the issue. I escalated the emails until I was writing the director level staff with the entire board of directors and a number of outside investors CC'd, asking for a written statement regarding their justification for billing at a rate 7 times higher than the national average and sternly laying out the failures to appropriately respond. Once I'd done all that, they reduced the bill from $5,000 to $26. I told my boyfriend the good news and he was at first overjoyed, but then when he asked how, I said it wasn't too hard. I just had to send a couple emails each day. He was curious about what I'd said. I So I handed him my phone. He started to get stressed, flipping back through other emails, which there were like 60 of. He told me I went way too far. He was expecting me to dispute through their billing department or something normal and reasonable like that, not internet stalk every single manager and board member and investor and harassing them into dropping the bill. I was frustrated because I just saved us $5,000, actually made it possible for us to afford a nice Christmas and save some money. And he was mad at me because I'd been a bit of a hard ass. I was furious, and he was also mad at me, saying he authorized me to dispute a bill, not basically threaten and harass a whole damn hospital for weeks. AITA.
I love OP. I love her.
Yeah,
She's
me
out
too.
for blood in the best possible way. And I'm willing to say it already. I think she's a hero.
I would do this. I have gone to lengths like this before.
Oh, tell us.
I was once on a cruise. I was once on a cruise and I got very sick and I started seizing and I was brought down to the medical department and they charged me for so many random things because they were so certain that I was drunk, even though I was like, at this point, I'm seizing in front of my whole family. I would tell you if I was fucked up. And we fought the bill in a very similar way.
Yeah.
And I do think, yes, it might be embarrassing looking at all of the emails, but it's totally within your right as a patient to dispute bills in this way. And it's totally normal to dispute hospital bills. I think that OP, did her boyfriend a favor, to be honest.
Seriously.
$26 from $5,000.
What a gift.
Yeah.
What an insane gift.
Yeah.
Above and beyond like the regular call
Right.
to
And
action.
is the boyfriend just like embarrassed that maybe she went into details about his condition? I get the embarrassment, but also it's like, get over it. They work in hospitals. They're used to seeing everything.
Yeah, and truthfully,
Take the win.
he mentioned something along the lines of that he gave her permission to dispute it with billing, which she said was not successful because billing
Right.
is like, no, we don't dispute, we just collect.
Right.
And he's like, I didn't want you to like stalk hospital staff. There was no stalking.
Yeah.
It's all public information.
There's no stalking.
It was on LinkedIn. It was
Yeah.
on Google. She went tappity tap and it appeared in front of her.
This was a brilliant play, and it was perfect. She won.
She won.
She won.
She's a winner.
She's a winner. What is his problem? Fuck this guy.
And it's a corporation,
Right.
essentially. Like
Right.
hospitals make up costs. They just make it up off the top of their heads, what sounds good to them. And it's easy for I bet it cost them $26 to take
Yeah.
care of him that day. IV bags, they cost like 11 cents and we get charged 60.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's a scam business. It's a grifter business. She's a genius. Top comment, recognize this. Shucky Duck writes, you're a freaking rock star and should be a damn pro advocate for those who get ripped off in healthcare like this. Your boyfriend is so unappreciative and is clearly clueless on how diligent you need to be to challenge an erroneous bill. When the hospital, doctors, and insurance companies are unwilling to help you resolve their errors, what else are you supposed to do? So many people just quit and either pay the massive bill or go into debt. Tell your boyfriend this is the only Christmas gift you're giving him. Clearly NTA. So as you guys know, I'm a mega Karen. I don't know that I can claim. I mean, this is $5,000. I would take a class from her. I mean, This is just true mastery, but I will at least tell you guys how petty I am. I think I did share this when it happened a few years ago, but this is my big win here. I sent something on OfferUp. You know OfferUp?
Of course.
So there's a thing where you can like actually physically ship someone something and you're supposed to send it within 3 days. I sent it on the 4th day. It was a $60 mechanical keyboard. And the buyer received it and that was confirmed and I could see that. And they're like, well, you didn't send it on time, so we're not going to pay you. And I was like, well, that's not how transactions work, right? So they confirmed that they had the keyboard, so you're going to pay me for the keyboard. I have a 24 email thread and I went back and forth and I was very much like, okay, I know it's not your fault, but eventually I sent this nuclear message. Hey, Brandon, thanks for your help. I understand that you're constrained by this utterly ridiculous policy, and I'm sorry you work for a company that doesn't care about its customers. I hope they treat you much better than they treat me. Here's my plan of action. Please let your superiors know that this is the cost of this completely unethical policy. 1, I will write a long article called OfferUp is a Scam. They don't care about their customers. 1B, I will post this article to a new domain I'll be purchasing, offerupscam.com. Availability pending, I'll let you know. 2, I'll be collecting every single piece of viable evidence that OfferUp doesn't care, including documenting this convo. blah, 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 blah. 2B, I will scour the internet for all the complaints about OfferUp that are online. There's plenty, by the way. And the article will beautifully summarize his experience. 3, I will be spending no less than $60 to promote this article. $30 will be on social media spending and $30 on clicks. 4, I'll be promoting your competitors, for which I have had no bad experiences with. 5, I will make a video about OfferUp on both my YouTube and TikTok accounts. 51K followers total. And yeah, they came back with your $60 are on the way, Mr. Vega.
You came at them from all angles, and I really appreciate that.
It works. These things work. Sometimes you have to be a motherfucker, even when you're clearly right. You know, I thought I was beyond clearly right in this situation. I couldn't believe I had to go on about it.
And that's what I mean. If it's a company, absolutely. No holds bar. Go for it. It's not an individual person. If it's a company, who cares? Bleed him dry. Yeah. Do your best.
It's not like she brought him into someone's shed and they, took care of him on their own.
Yes.
She sent emails.
She said emails. It's not that serious.
Yes.
No, and I'll go a little farther than you, Lily. I think if a person tries to overcharge you as well, put some fear in their heart. And I think we can learn a little bit from OP's tactics, which is they basically played it like they were a lawyer without ever claiming you're a lawyer. Mm-hmm. You build my client. That's basically implying without saying.
Well, it's like what I told you. It's like sometimes you can send emails and as your own assistant,
yes,
book them
on behalf of someone. No, it's a great move, and you write a scary. I also had a hospital bill for $3,000, and they weren't actually charging me, but I was scared that they could, and so I just came up with a scary subject line like compliance notice, regulators at the door, and then right away I got an email like you got to fuck with these people because they work corporate jobs and they're probably not working all day until they get a scary email. Top dissenting comment. I can't even believe we found one. Ciridowin writes, YTA. He's probably scared you will bully and lie your way out of responsibilities in the future. If the service was provided and the claims were sent through medical determination and the $5K was your deductible and out-of-pocket contract with your insurance company, then yes, YTA. You bullied your way into paying nothing for care. This is why bills are high. The hospital has to eat the cost of care now and will spread it back out to everyone else. Why do rates increase to cover the cost of unpaid care?
I'm just going to go out and say it that this commenter has never been to the hospital before.
I was going to say
or
that.
Or very rich.
Or either that or they are a disgruntled night shift nurse.
I don't even know. The amount of idealism in this too is so delusional. Like you really think, I think most companies will gladly rip you off and hospitals are rip off factories. Like, and insurance companies are rip off factories. Right. They'll fight you. Mine was for an emergency appendicitis, which is pretty key. I could have died. Could have been Harry Houdini over here.
Mine was for a 5150. I didn't get a choice and my bill was $5,000.
What's a 5150?
That's when I went to the psychiatric hospital.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I mean, you've got to, and I urge everyone to, this is not bullying. It's not harassment. You sending people emails is fine. It's not their personal email. It's their work email.
It's not showing up at their doorstep.
Again, it's on LinkedIn. She got it on Google.
Thank you.
She did not do anything nefarious.
And by the way, if you have an issue like this and you want a consultation with me, people, put it in the form, AITApod.com. You better believe I'll help you. I'll write a nasty email. We'll put the fear in their heart. I don't care if it's $50 and above. Let's fucking go. If it's a grift and you got grifted, I will fucking nuke them. I don't care. AITA for how I fought my boyfriend's medical bill going too far. I think we agree. This is a huge YTH. You're the hero. Fuck this guy. Let's actually make fun of this guy for what is this guy's problem?
Yeah.
Her boyfriend's pathetic.
He didn't have to lift a finger.
Idea, speculation.
Here we go.
He's upset he didn't do it himself.
I'm seeing internalized unassertiveness. This is a guy, I mean, just like this crazy commenter is like, oh, how dare you do a thing? The boyfriend is like, why would you send so many emails? It's like, so
you weren't gonna do it.
Yeah, he's used to getting walked on. And honestly, going through the proper channels is almost never the way to get anything done. You have to make noise. You have to be annoying. You have to.
No, because my line of thinking through that is that I find generalization upcoming, but when men are sick, they're babies.
Ooh, we got a gender-based generalization from Lily. Put it on the chalkboard, shocking. Everybody.
Absolutely shocking, because I don't like those. But in my observed experience, whenever cisgendered men are sick, they turn into absolute babies. And I get it. No one likes to be sick. I feel like maybe he's not usually like that in his waking life. And this was a big, huge, massive problem. And men are also, they can tend to be problem fixers. They try to like pull up pants and fix something as opposed to like talk about it and hear about it and understand it. They're like, I need to find a solution right now. And he couldn't. All he did was literally turn over his rights of like, you can discuss my medical condition and bills, and then sat back to heal. And my speculation is maybe he was like, you shouldn't have done all this extra stuff, because he felt like a weenie.
And nobody likes to be called a weenie or feel like a weenie.
The last thing I'll say too, to the negative commenter, is that this is the bill they received after insurance costs kicked in. The hospital's getting paid.
The hospital got their money.
They got their money. They're just out for more. That's all.
Well put.
HR said it first.
And if HR said it, it's true. I'm pretty with you. But really well done, Lily. You know, Lily went off to Gendertown and she fucking crushed it.
They fucking crushed it.
Oh my God. And I'm gonna get murdered in the town square.
No, the Gendertown square.
AITA for how I fought my boyfriend's medical bill going too far. We said YTH and it is. Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. All right, we're gonna wrap things up here. On a musical note, that's right, we're with a musician. Don't you forget it, folks. AITA for asking my girlfriend if she could play more normal music at home. My girlfriend has an eclectic music taste, and we had a big argument about it last night. We live together and have a great sound system in the shared areas of the house. When I play music, I usually put on an album or two to listen to straight through. My girlfriend likes to put on playlists, and last night she put on a totally crazy one. Here's how it went. Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks. The Thieving Magpie by Rossini. I don't know that one. Pink Rover by Scene Queen. Dangerous by Cascada. Isn't Cascada kind of like EDM-ish?
It's Every Time We Touch, right?
Yeah, right?
Every Time We Touch.
I like Every Time We Touch. And Dogma by KMFDM. So it's a wide variety of things, it sounds like. I asked her if she could just pick one playlist or album, or at least something more normal, as her music was kind of all over the place. She said it was a playlist she made for when she was doing chores. I, joking around, but also a little annoyed, asked what kind of playlist it was. It seemed unhinged. She said, oh, it's just good music to get up and move around or dance to. It's high energy. I said, there's girly pop and classical music and industrial noise in there, though. And she responded, yeah, that's some of what I like. I asked her if she could put on something a little less chaotic, and she said she was cleaning our kitchen. The least I could do is not talk shit about her music taste. I said, but you've got to realize it's a little out there, right? And she said, nah, these are all bangers. Why are you being such a dick? I don't talk shit when you listen to the same 3 bands every day. She was getting really annoyed with me, so I dropped it. I feel kind of conflicted because on one hand, her music was weird, and I feel like it's just common courtesy to play stuff that's at least kind of chill and could be background music in a shared space. But on the other hand, I kind of got the impression she doesn't love my music either, and I just never said anything till I did. AITA.
Is girly pop like an actual genre? Or is that just him being
hyper pop, girly pop?
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Really? Oh, okay. I was gonna say like I say saccharine pop a lot, like sugary and really sweet. Is that girly pop or what would you say?
I would say that's girly pop, probably.
Oh, well, I love girly pop.
I have a lot of thoughts on this. First thought, I will say, are you cleaning the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
That's my first thought. My second thought is I don't feel like we have enough information to make a decision here, because it's like, if you're living with someone and this kind of thing is happening all of the time, I understand why it would be annoying after a certain point to listen to very different music all the time. But if it's just like a one-off thing every once in a while, I'm like, get over it, and your kitchen's getting cleaned. But I don't actually know how often it's happening, so I don't feel like I can make a fair judgment on the situation.
Because she did specifically say it was like a cleaning playlist, a high energy one. So where I imagine it is, she's doing like a deep clean of the kitchen. You know what I mean? You have the mop bucket out, you're wearing gloves. It's like a couple hour affair, something like that. So, but yeah, you are right. We don't know how often it is happening.
I mean, I guess I'm a little shocked to hear you say that, Marlo, because, you know, I mean, is this like a musician thing that this eclectic playlist is such a sin? This is so bothersome.
I don't think it's a sin. I listen to playlists like that all the time. I'm just defending the poster and saying that if you're living with someone and they're playing music all of the time and it's music that you really don't like, at some point there has to be a compromise, and so everyone can live comfortably. But if it's just every once in a while, then the poster needs to get over it.
Because to me, it's his talking points. It seems like it's even less so about the playlist.
That's where I'm at.
Because he's not hammering the point of, please can we change it for right now, for 20 minutes, for an hour. He says, hey girlfriend, come around on my side, your music taste fucking sucks.
No, but that's it too though. He's not even saying I don't like this track. He's objecting to the nature of the playlist. That's what's pissing me off. And I'm like, okay.
Like how it's constructed.
Yeah,
it's not your playlist.
Oh, it's too eclectic. You should listen to a continuous album.
Has he looked up anything on Spotify ever? There's some wild playlists out there.
Yeah. And sorry, I don't listen to the whole album, Marlo. Is that a sin? I just don't think it's good enough.
It's 2022.
Play the fucking hits. This is my thing too. When I go to a concert, play the fucking hits for me, daddies. Please? Is that reasonable?
I think it is reasonable. I went to a John Mayer concert once years ago, and he didn't play any of his well-known songs. And I was like, this is a ripoff. I don't know any of this music.
I love you. I think it should be a crime, a misdemeanor, but I think you should get a ticket if you're not going to play the goddamn hits. You play your hits?
Of course. I mean, I don't have hits, but
you have hits. You have hits.
I play them.
Marlo's don't be modest, Marlo. I happen to know Real Friends, Fake Friends, almost 500,000 listens just on Spotify. I think that's a hit.
Thank you.
Certified Danny Vega Gold. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know what you can do with that, but it's there. I think that's going to be my bone to pick here. Top comment, Retro Bibliotecaria writes, YTA, cleaner picks the music, shotgun shuts his cake hole. Do you guys know what that means?
No.
I imagine cake hole is similar to pie hole, which is an old euphemism for mouth.
Okay. That's
like
fair.
in the 1930s or something like that.
Top dissenting comment, puzzleheaded_log7677 writes, ESH, I think you could have handled it better by not insulting her taste while she's cleaning your house. But since you live together, it's not unreasonable to ask for music that everybody likes to be played in communal spaces. I don't know.
She's doing chores.
She's doing chores.
It's not like ambient music playing all day, every day, throughout the day. It's a specific cleaning playlist.
Also, if they were really so bothered, there's not a mention of headphones at any point in this whole conversation.
Thank you. He can get himself, if they have a nice system that goes throughout their home, you can afford a pair of noise canceling headphones. Yeah. That's easy.
Absolutely. Or can't you turn off the Sonos in one room? I mean, what kind of system you got here?
Yeah.
I think this is a little bit, also no mention of volume. There's no mention of volume throughout this. I don't think this is a reasonable rule. I think if you have a roommate, they're allowed to play their music. I think an hour a day is a reasonable thing at a reasonable volume, not like earth shattering, something that you could drown out with some headphones. I think that's very reasonable. I don't agree that, no, my playlist doesn't have to be publicly approved. That's ridiculous.
I have some really embarrassing playlists. And
I think I have the worst taste in music in anyone I know. Are you going to try to top me?
I mean, maybe. It depends.
Yeah, what are some of your sins?
Oh man, when you put me on the spot like that,
every time we touch is my
brain.
New one. I've been jamming that shit, and I'm like, this is the corniest song. If anybody catches me listening to this,
Rock the Casbah.
That's not is that bad, Marlo?
It's kind of funny.
I don't think so.
Rock the Casbah.
Is
that's
that like an actual good song?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, to me, it just makes me feel silly when I'm dancing in my car, and I'm assuming I look awful. Like
you might make it embarrassing. We can't confirm or deny.
No, that's very easy to do.
Do you have guilty pleasure, Marlo, on the musical note?
Of course, I'm blanking on what it is at this point. I mean, I know I'm blanking, but yeah, of course, I listen to everything. So
the Swifties hate me because I like the Taylor Swift bangers, but I don't like that new folklore shit, and they get really heated when you. Thank you. It's too slow.
Stick to the hits.
Thank you. Marlo, please regulate music. Enough with this slow shit, Taylor. Take your private jet and write some goddamn bangers. You're polluting the earth. Can I get a banger out of it, please? I like saccharine pop. That's one of my musical things. I like electronic music a lot from the years like 2008 to like 2014. It's all four on the floor. It's very repetitive and very synthesizer oriented.
This may be very niche. I listen to a lot of spaghetti western scores.
I would say that is niche.
That is very niche. Do you ever throw on Ecstasy of Gold? Because that is a banger.
I do. Actually, do you know what's so funny? Yeah. I was in my gym and the Ecstasy of Gold came on. Like I thought my phone was playing something.
That's
Like
hilarious.
I took off my headphones and it was just blasting through the gym speakers. It was amazing.
For those of you blanking, you might not recognize the name of the song, but it's the one that goes da 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 da. I can't make eye contact with Marlo.
We're gonna get fined now.
Marlo, can you do a better impression of Ecstasy
I
of Gold?
cannot. I do know my guilty pleasure is musical theater. I do listen to that on the DL.
That's
Hell
cringe.
yeah.
I think I could say that's a little cringy,
yeah,
right? That's fair to say.
100%.
I was just listening to Next to Normal the other day.
Thank you. At the same time, all rock music is just musical theater, and I will die on that hill.
Ooh.
I think at its best, like a good ballad, like Bohemian Rhapsody is such theater kid energy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other guilty pleasure talking points? I love a guilty pleasure. You know what else I like, Marlo? This is one of my musical things. I love musical copyright cases. Very fascinated with this.
Me too.
You familiar with the Katy Perry one, Dark Horse?
I am.
Yep.
Let's talk about it because I don't really get to talk about these things with anyone. So Katy Perry came out with Dark Horse. And how does it start? It's like, did a Juicy J, or like it's got like a little intro thing of like, we're on the track. I mean, it's kind of standard, but anyway, the melody of it, Marlo, am I going to get you to sing or am I going to have to do all the
You're
singing?
going to have to do it.
How does it go? It's like, I can't do it. Bop, 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 bop. So it's a very simple melody, but it like defines the whole song. And so it turns out a Christian rap band dropped a song that basically has a very similar drum beat and starts off the same way where it's like Juicy J or whatever, something like that at the beginning. And then it has the exact same melody. And Katy Perry went to court and you know what? She lost and she was going to have to pay, but then she appealed it and won.
Didn't the same thing happen to her with Eye of the Tiger and Sarah Bareilles, Brave?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, they're the same song as well.
On the other hand, Cat Stevens, okay, Father and Son. You guys know this one?
Mm-mm.
Boomer music, but I'm a fan of it. Flaming Lips wrote Fight Test, and I think they're similar. If you play them next to each other, you'd be like, I can see how that's an inspiration. And they got heavily dinged and had to pay Cat Stevens, who has a different name now, Yusuf Islam, I believe, up the ass.
Did Jason Derulo ever get any heat for In My Head?
Because it's similar to
It's
what?
the same song as Just Dance by Lady Gaga.
Oh, shit.
It's the exact same
Oh, we
song.
gotta
And
put
also
that on.
Taylor Swift for Wildest Dreams, because it's a lot like, what's that Lana Del Rey song? Without You. The choruses are the same.
Really?
Yeah, it's just Taylor Swift's is obviously a lot faster, but
dirty
In My
trick.
Head is like the exact same song as Just Dance from Lady Gaga. And Olivia Rodrigo got sued as
Paramore.
well. Yeah, by Paramore. Who,
Yeah.
And won. I believe
Paramore
Paramore
won.
won. Yeah.
Yeah, they have songwriting credit on Good For You.
I thought that one, I wasn't really so into that. What did you think of that one, Marlo?
I don't think the songs are as similar as some
Not
other cases we've
similar.
seen. However, I do like that the two of them are now like friends and they perform together. I think that's sweet.
That's cool.
I think this happens a lot in music and people just aren't kind of aware. So in that one, I actually disagree that the songs are very similar, but Paramore won, so good on her.
Is it a fear you ever have?
Yeah, I have the fear constantly. And oftentimes I'll be like, does this sound like this? And everyone will be like, no, you're crazy. And I'm like, but
Yeah.
are you sure? I will tell you guys about this off the record. There is a song that came out recently that I'm like, this sounds exactly like my song, but it's impossible that this artist would have heard it. But it does sound identical.
I think they heard it.
I
Katy
think
Perry
could,
heard a
dude.
Christian rap song.
That's true.
Seriously.
I forgot to bring this up earlier, but you mentioned how with Alanis, you heard the original acoustic versions. And I've gotten very upset before. I think there's something about the imprint of an original, like your first listen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because do you guys remember I'm Bo-Yo? It was Bo Burnham, and he was just sitting at a keyboard, and the recording was literally just like this kind of cheesy Yamaha keyboard, and he was just rapping out loud, like with a mic on a camera. And I thought it was amazing. And then he produced that track, and it was like all fancy and stuff, and I hated it. I was like, the produced version sucks. I think that's like a thing. Like you kind of bond with the original version of a remix. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, I do.
In when you do music, they call it demoitis, in that you make a demo and then it gets changed quite a bit throughout the production process. And you always want to go back to that demo and you have to get out of it. It's called demoitis, and there's a lot of cases of it.
That's so interesting. I'm like obsessed with Lana Del Rey's unreleased music and so many of her really, really old demos from like decades ago. And I'll still listen to them.
Sometimes I wonder though, I'm ready to push back against demoitis culture because I feel like sometimes there's a rawness that can't be captured or like, and I feel like a lot of producer guys, they try to make it fancy and then they throw on some corny synth preset and they just totally ruin that shit.
It's like too much production value.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're fine. Something I struggle with a lot too is a lot of times, you do scratch vocal with the demo, which means you just like do one pass and then that's the demo's vocals. And a lot of times when you're doing the real vocals, the producer will be like, oh, do it like you did it on the demo. And so as an artist too, you're always reaching to get back to that original point. And oftentimes like you'll cut demo vocals on like a shittier mic. So you have to redo them no matter what. But it's very hard to mimic what you were doing when you didn't care.
Exactly, because I get that with acting, because if someone's like, oh, can you do it like you did on take whatever? I'm like, oh, I have to get back completely into that exact specific feeling.
So hard.
It's wild.
Yeah, I have a theory about art, which is sometimes a little bit wrong is the most right.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that's what a demo can capture. And like, yeah, that lack of like giving a fuck can be so key.
Because it gives you more room to feel and explore. And it's from like just a more authentic place as opposed to like a more constructed production value. Like, here's the synth, here's the this.
Yes, yes. It gets too shiny and polished. And like, I don't know, I'm not very like, I'm kind of musically literate, but like I don't really care if the timing is off or whatever. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes that can be the magic of it. It's like a little wrong.
And isn't it sometimes like heartbreaking so you'll hear a song, like let's say it's one of those like really polished ones, and then you'll see a performance live and you're like, this is not even at all like nothing close.
Yeah, the disparity.
Like this person's completely a studio singer, like or something along those lines. It's sad.
The biggest exception to that is I saw Chromeo live, and I swear to God they could have been playing the album off a Discman.
That's wild.
Crazy how good they were. Incredible. Folks, AITA for asking my girlfriend if she could play more normal music at home. Now, Marlo, I think you're going to be the holdout here because initially you kind of pleaded info on this, but I think Lily and I landed some nice dings that like this guy's objection had to do with the playlist. We got you?
Yeah, you got me.
Yes. I think we agree wholeheartedly. It's a whopping YTA.
YTA.
That was beautiful, Lily. We gotta lay that down on a track.
Don't remix it. Uh-oh.
Listen to Marlo the Barbarian and stream My Bad, the new single, which is a banger. By the way, I like how it's a short song, 1:40.
Yeah, it's very short.
I love a short song.
Me too. Very bad for sync though. You normally won't get a sync deal unless that's over 2 minutes. But at the same time, we all want things faster these days. Also, in my mind, I'm like, it'll get more streams if it's shorter because I'll just have to listen again.
What's a sync deal?
Just like for use in film and TV. Sync people will think that if a song is under 2 minutes, that it was made specifically for the purpose of sync, so they won't listen to it.
That's so annoying.
Interesting.
It's very
I'm
bizarre.
a little confused because why would you need more than that for a song?
Good question. I don't know how the antics work. I just say, okay, next one will be 212.
Yeah, 212 is cool. A little New York reference.
Yeah.
Marlo the Barbarian on Spotify, on Apple Music. We'll throw a link in there. Music videos on YouTube. Marlo the Barbarian 1992. Instagram, Marlo the Barbarian. TikTok, Marlo the Barbarian. And is your TikTok game just like bits of music? Or are you throwing on some jokes on there? What's your...
I'm figuring it out. I'm not good at TikTok, but I'm getting better. A lot of it is music. A lot of it is like me playing live. And then a lot of it is just stupid trends.
Hell yeah. Little fun commentary thrown in there to trick the algorithm.
Well, Marlo, it's been an absolute joy having you. Lily, thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.